Well, are we live already? I hope so. Yes, people, you've already seen it quite correctly. This is a veritable Porsche 962, one of only 200 in the world. I have got an appointment with a model born in 1990, but where am I actually? Let's put it in this way, in a workshop somewhere in Unna, Germany, and I'm celebrating a reunion with a Group C vehicle that finished third in the Interseries back in 1990. Interseries Coupe d'Europe, that was a sprint format held across Europe with a long tradition and a great history. Closed Group C racing cars were allowed to take part, as well as open-top Can-Am Formula racing cars, with subsequently closed wheels. This Porsche 962 played an important role in the 1990 Interseries. Overall winner was Bernd Schneider, who moved directly from Formula One to the Kramer racing team in Cologne, Germany, where he also drove a Porsche 962. This example has a very special history to show, not only because it came third behind the Kramer Porsche and another 962 from the late Austrian Walter Lechner. 200 examples, including the Porsche 956, have been built, but not a single one by a married couple who worked from home. I know, that sounds incredible, and yet it was like that during the winter break between the years of 1989 and 1990. Only Karin and Heinz-Jörgen Dahmen from Krefeld have managed this feat. They built their aluminium monocoque by themselves, sheet by sheet, rivet by rivet, an unbelievable Sisyphus work on Rossstraße in the middle of the silk-weaving town in the Lower Rhine area. Of course, the two of them had a professional template, a former works chassis that had at least run in the qualifying session of the 1985 Le Mans 24 Hours. 3 years later, Karin and Heinz-Jörgen Dahmen entered the Supercup, their first Porsche 962. That was the starting point, a Group C car which was largely bought in, completed with diligently collected individual parts. That was a remarkable achievement already. But, well, it is like it is with racing drivers. They always want to improve something, do it even better. That's in their nature. At some point they realize there might be more, with a little more rigidity, with somewhat thicker aluminium sheets, with somewhat larger rivet heads. And so, this first chassis manufactured by Dahmen Tuning with the end number 910 was created with the help of the original parts of the previous Porsche 962, became a functioning new car and worked perfectly despite a curious history. Third place in the 1990 Interseries spoke a clear language. In the late autumn of 2003, 13 years later, British people bought this chassis as well as two more, several engines with displacement from 2.8 up to 3.0 up to 3.3 liters, simply the entire inventory. Heinz-Jörgen Dahmen had found a new, similarly fulfilling task in the Bundesliga of shooting sports, but all of his 3 racing Porsches were dismantled before they were sold at the time. After years on the British island, at least the first 2 Porsche 962 found their way back together. The second example has been completed in Great Britain with parts from the original Dahmen Racing extensive stock, the 1990 model with a well-drivable 3-liter engine that was originally used in the third self-made Can-Am version from Krefeld. And there it is right now, a journey through time that has become a racing car in its characteristic shade of blue. It's a little bit like it was back in September 16, 1990 again, and we are back at the Siegerland airfield near Heiger Burbach. That's not very far away from here, about 3/4 of an hour. The weather is also about the same as it was back then, quite changeable, sometimes sunny, sometimes cloudy, in constant change. A fascinating sight to see this Porsche 962 once again after more than 30 years, including the sponsor stickers such as PR and M Racing, That was stuck on the plain blue panel once in September 1990. At a presentation in Soest, the Netherlands, at Paul Feen's in his company Car Care. There was a local, Arthur van Dedem, who wanted to get behind the wheel and set up the appropriate financing. Well, why do I know all this so exactly? Because I was allowed to be there at the time. It was in my mid-20s, and now I have worked through the whole story once again. Because boxer stories, stories about people who go their own way, I'd like to tell them in Werk 1, 9/11 boxer stories, well, in the upcoming printed edition. The story will be called Damenwahl, with an H in the middle and a hyphen. And that is something to look forward to. Yes, I know. People spoke up who wanted to correct the spelling of another big name, Hans Metzger. The recently deceased engine genius in the services of Porsche, they said, spelled himself with TZ in the middle, like the man who makes a sausage. You know, of course, this cannot be true. Because the man with the simple Z, he didn't make sausages, but engines like this one, regardless of whether with 2 or 4 ways per cylinder, with air or water cooling, the principle has always been the same, and it was synonymous for fabulous performance. Well, now we've gotten deeper into the history. More on that shortly. Until then, I'm yours, Carsten Krome, and I'm out for an instant. Thank you very much for your audience.